Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to Blissfully Bloom. I'm Victoria LeBlanc, a self-love and soulful coach, and I'm your host. The intention of this podcast is to guide women to fall in love with themselves, embody confidence, and drop the stories of not good enough. Your soul will awaken to the truth that you have always been worthy. In this remembering, you no longer wait for permission, validation, or acceptance. You choose yourself, and you become a woman who blissfully blooms like a rose, showing the world your authentic self, talents, and gifts because it's your birthright. Hello there, beautiful soul, and welcome back to Blissfully Bloom. I am so glad that you are here and tuning in today. Today's episode is going to be all about goal setting and self-confidence. Do you find self-doubt or procrastination really holding you back from achieving your dreams? Or does the thought of goal setting really overwhelm you and you feel like it's more of a chore than something that can ignite your creativity and reignite that sense of purpose and fulfillment from within? This episode is for you because I have invited a guest on today's episode. Her name is Kezia. Kezia Marie is a wife, sister, daughter, cat mom, and creator of Set Goals and Slay Coaching. Kezia, a Phoenix native, graduated from Grand Canyon University in 2015 with her BS in psychology. After graduating, she decided to work in the behavioral health field with adults who have been diagnosed with serious mental illness, as well as at-risk girls in a therapeutic group home setting. She is continuing to empower men and women to reach their mental health and wellness goals as a behavioral health case manager at a mental health clinic. Kezia has also attained a life solution focus and goal success coaching certification. Her life goal is to motivate, encourage, and inspire people to embrace who they are without shame, pursue their dreams, and to live their lives operating in their God-given purpose. She desires to see people happy, successful, and thriving. I cannot wait for you to listen to today's episode. It's such a good one, and I really enjoyed our conversation today. I think there's just a lot of little nuggets in there that you're going to really appreciate. But really, with any podcast that you listen to, I really recommend that you put into action what you hear today. So if something is really resonating with you and you're like, ooh, this sounds like something that I can do and that I can start doing tomorrow or today or after I listen, give it a try, experiment with it, and see how it works and how it blends into your lifestyle. If you love what you hear today, make sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to help the podcast grow and bloom. And make sure to share your biggest key takeaway by screenshotting the episode and tagging me on your Instagram stories at blissfully.bloom. And I will make sure to shout you out as well and share your story. I would love to hear what you learned and what insight and perspectives you've gained while listening. All right, let's get straight into the episode. Hi, Kezia. Welcome to Blissfully Bloom.
Hi, Victoria. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm so excited to speak about self-confidence and goal setting today. My first question that I have for you is, what is one powerful lesson you have learned that has changed your life?
That is a great question. I'd have to say mindset is everything. I know it sounds super simple, but it wasn't until my early 20s when I really thought about what your mindset is and how impactful it is. And once I learned that I can actually change my mindset, because I used to be super negative. I complained all the time. I was a half glass empty type of thinker. And so once I began to do practical things to shift my mindset, it changed my life because I started going after goals and doing certain things and challenging myself in ways that I hadn't before. So I would say just learning and really understanding that mindset really is everything.
Yeah, it almost makes us who we are. The way that we think is who we become. It really is. I got into personal development maybe 2 year, maybe more than that actually. Probably at this point 5 years ago, and just reading different books and listening to different podcasts and just continuously learning and improving and just being better each day has made a big impact. So, thank you for sharing that lesson. I think that's so valuable to remember that our mindsets don't have to stay exactly where they are right now. We can blossom them and evolve and grow and learn. So, thank you for sharing. Another question that I have is speaking about self confidence, how does self confidence relate to goal setting? And then how can we feel more confident when chasing our dreams and chasing our visions for the future?
I would say that I've got to say that self confidence when it comes to pursuing your goals, it's a game changer. And I mean, you have to have a level of confidence to even set the goal and even start pursuing it, right? And self
Mm-hmm.
confidence, what I like about it is that it's not either you have it or you don't have it, but it's if you don't have it, you can build it. You can build your confidence, you can boost it, you can enhance it. And there are practical things that you can do to do that. A few things that I find pretty helpful in that. It's something that I actually enjoy doing every day, and it's writing and speaking my goals. And I put my goals in the form of I am and in the form of basically a positive affirmation. And I try to write it and speak
Mm-hmm.
it every day, even if I'm not feeling it, even if it looks really impossible that day. I still try to do it every day because it's a way to reprogram your thinking subconsciously. And so the key there, of course, would be consistency. Another that I think is really helpful also is just surrounding yourself with like-minded people, people that can uplift you and hold you accountable, and people that are also chasing goals as well. I would also say identifying your why, like know what drives you, why you want to pursue that goal, because that why, if it's significant enough to you, it should motivate you to not only get started, but also to keep going. Your why kind of overrides, like if you're not feeling too confident, think about your why. Because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to feel confident until you keep going. So think about your why and that'll push you forward.
Yeah. When you write them down, your goals, do you say them in the morning or is there like a specific time of day that you do that?
So I'll be honest with you. I tried to do it in the morning. That didn't work. I'm not much of a morning person. I usually do it in the evening once I get home from work and I sit down. I just pull out my and I actually have it. I'm sitting at my desk, my home desk. So I actually have this little journal here that I keep specifically for writing out those goals. I like to, when I share, that piece of advice with others, I just say, hey, you can pull out your notepad and your phone and do it, or do it on your lunch break, or just whenever you get a chance. It doesn't, and sometimes I miss a day. There are days where I
Mm-hmm.
forget or just don't get to do it. But as long as you're being consistent and do it when you can see a difference if you're consistent with it.
I love that because with me and my goal setting, what I normally do is just write it down in one space and have it tucked in a corner. But I never realized that actually physically putting it onto paper every day kind of acts as a reminder and serves as a way to help you know where you're headed, where you're going, where you want to move towards. So I really, really love that idea. And then with surrounding yourself with people who are like wanting to reach for the stars and like go for their dreams and go after the things that they really want. I think that is so true. I think it like really depends on your certain close friends and what they strove to be and like where their habits were and how they were speaking to themselves and things like that really does trickle into the way that you speak to yourself, how you behave, what you choose to do.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. What is it? Birds of a feather flock together, something like that. It's like, your circle,
Yeah.
will influence you. Either you're gonna rub off on them or they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
rub off on you. Try if you can, to surround yourself like-minded people.
Another thing that like came up, what if someone who is listening kind of is aware that their friends might be dragging them down? What do they do about that?
I would never say like, oh, don't be friends with them anymore. You need to social distance from them. Like I wouldn't. I personally
Mm-hmm.
don't think that is necessary, but I think it's important to still be intentional about finding someone to maybe add to your circle or maybe spend less
Mm-hmm.
time and just again be intentional about finding someone, even if it's like there are Facebook groups, so different kinds. If you search, maybe you can find a Facebook group and find somebody, or maybe someone at work, or if it's maybe at your gym, or just kind of keep an eye open and try to make a friend or find a mentor or somebody that can still
Mm-hmm.
be a part of your circle that you can, so that you're still getting that accountability and that inspiration.
Hmm. Yeah, so like adding to your
Mm-hmm.
bucket. I like that way of thinking of
Yeah.
it.
Because
Yeah.
you never know. Your friends that maybe aren't the support and that you would like in that way, you can become that for them. You can inspire them by just living your life and
Mm-hmm.
pursuing your goals and going after your dreams. So don't disown them. Don't stop being their friend, but just maybe add to your circle.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe we're almost like choosing to allow them to bring ourselves to their level, but we can choose to like up level ourselves and not allow other people to drag us
Yeah.
down. And we can bring them up with us
Yeah.
instead of like stoop
Mm-hmm.
stooping down.
Yeah.
What is your own goal setting ritual? So, like, what does it look like? What do you do when you set your goals? And how do you keep track of your progress?
So I guess I'll give you the whole shebang. So at the start of the year, what I like to do is a visualization exercise. Usually I do this, it depends on what I'm doing, what my plans are, but New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, somewhere around there, I'll do a visualization exercise. And it's basically a meditation that helps me to get clear on what I really want to pursue in that year. My faith
Mm-hmm.
is also a huge part of my life, so I do make time to pray as well before I start my goal setting. And then when it comes to actually setting the goals, I like to, well, I'm actually doing things, I did things differently this year. And I actually wonder, like, why haven't I been doing it this way before? And so I'll tell you what I've started doing this year is I just listed all of my goals, like all the things I wanted to pursue throughout this year. And then I broke them down into categories. So I've got my spiritual, I've got my
Ooh.
health and wellness, I've got my career, relationships, and so on. And then I'm choosing 1 to 3 goals per quarter to focus on. And then from there, I have a to-do list for the month and then for the week. And I like checking things off. That helps me just feel accomplished at the end of the day. Way to hold myself accountable. So I see, what I didn't get done for that week or for that month. So that's how I set my goals, and that's how I track my goal. I do use planners and calendars and all the things. I'm a planner nerd. I think that's a hashtag on Instagram. There's a lot of different apps and a lot of different ways that you can, track your goals. But that's how I'm doing it this year, and that's how I'm finding it really helpful so far.
Yeah, so when you say quarterly, do you kind of split up the whole year into fourths?
Yes. January through April, and then May through however. That's what I use the planner for. Listen, I'd have to pull out my calendar, but yeah. So I just split it into 4 quarters and then choose what to focus on. And if I didn't quite meet a goal in 1 month or 1 quarter, I'll just roll it over to the
Hmm.
next. It's just a way to help me stay organized and, keep what I need to focus on at the forefront without overwhelming myself.
Right, right. And do you have time for like celebrations as well?
Ooh, that is a good question. See, I can talk about goal setting all day. I don't know. I just find it so exciting. Celebrate the small wins. I'm huge on celebrating. It's motivating. So I definitely celebrate. It's just as simple as like if I'm going to the gym and eating healthy, since that's like one of my goals, and I do good throughout the week, I can have a cheat day on the weekend. So just things like that. Definitely celebrate the wins.
For sure. And I feel like when you get to that end of the year, so the goals that you haven't yet reached or achieved just yet, would you roll them into the next year?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Because I feel like there are some goals of mine that I've seen consistently year after year because it just hasn't happened yet. And sometimes that makes me a little frustrated at myself. So like what can you do to kind of like alleviate those feelings when you're like, "Oh, I keep seeing the same goals over and over and over."
Yeah. So what I would say, what I like to do just in general to encourage myself is I will literally pull out like the notepad on my phone or just a pen and paper, like physically, and write out what I've already achieved. Whether it could be from years ago, it could be from the same year or within the week. Just reminding yourself of how far you've come. Because I think it's so easy to feel
Hmm.
bad when you're looking towards the future and you're thinking about what you haven't gotten done, but there's so much you have done that you should be
Hmm.
proud of. So just and that's what I love about goal setting is it allows you to break things. You can break it down into steps, and I really encourage breaking it into small action steps. That way, even if you just did a couple of things and you got closer to achieving the goal, it's okay if you didn't achieve it. Just keep going.
Hmm.
Just keep going.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. Would you be comfortable in sharing like some of your goals that you're like working on this
Sure.
year?
So I'm actually looking at my vision board too. I have a lot of different goals. I've got some financial goals. I'm definitely saving for a new car. So that's one. I want to find balance in my life. I find that
Hmm.
I've struggled with just not, a focus on one thing, one area of my life, but then the other part of my life is neglected. So one of my goals is finding a balance, and that one's gonna be a year long goal. So that one's definitely gonna roll over because things happen, things change, schedules change, and you have to learn to adjust. So just being patient with myself in that. Going to therapy. So I started a new job, and so I'm waiting for my insurance to kick in and trying to figure out all of that. So getting therapy is at the top of my list. And then just my relationships. I want to build relationships with stronger, better relationships with my sisters. I consider myself a newlywed. It's 1 year and about 2 months now.
Ah,
Yeah, so I definitely want
congratulations.
to build that.
Well, thank you for sharing. It just puts out some inspiration and some ideas along. So, What do you say about maybe some people who are questioning if their goals are for them or true? Because I feel like sometimes we can see another person do something or try to reach something and think that's what we actually want to go for.
I definitely have the answer in mind to that. What I would, and it's something I mentioned earlier, and that is a part of my ritual for goal setting, the visualization exercise. Doing that
Hmm.
is a great way to help you get clear on what you want to pursue versus what maybe your parents, what their dream is. There's just different things, and it is easy to get caught up in someone else's dream or vision. But if you really take the time to get clear on what you want to achieve and then
Mm-hmm.
identify why you want to achieve it, so gain clarity and then identify your why, it's a lot easier to get past maybe self comparison or just looking
Mm-hmm.
at other people's goals and thinking maybe that's what you should be doing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, almost afraid to step outside the box because maybe that's not what everybody else is pursuing, so to speak, or it can just be so easy to try to be like a mirror of everybody else. But in reality, like we're all our own unique person and we're gonna like different things that other people aren't going to be interested in. So, what about your visualization? How does that work? What is the process that you go through when you choose to do that?
Okay, for the visualization exercise, so usually I do it like when I'm getting ready to go to sleep at night, and I actually use a YouTube video. So you can search visualization meditation on YouTube, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of different ones that will come up, but I have a favorite one that I've saved onto my playlist. And basically, it just takes you through visualizing what you want, where you want to be, and you're completely removing the ceiling. There's no limits, anything is possible. It literally just puts you in that place of like, the sky is the limit. Well, actually, no, the sky isn't the limit because there is no limit. And you just get to just dream. And I love, and that's why I love doing it at the beginning of the year. And even sometimes every now and then in the middle of the year, just to kind of a reset, if you will. But yeah, it just
Yeah.
takes you, so it's a guided meditation, and it just helps you to just dream and imagine what your life would look like ideally to you through your lens,
Mm.
nobody else's.
Wow. I feel like that just amps up your sense of inspiration and motivation and almost connects you to like your soul's desires in a way.
Yes.
I love that. So for women who might be diagnosed with a mental health disorder such as anxiety or depression, what would you advise them when they're trying to set their goals and pursue their dreams?
Okay. I would say I actually have a few things that I would recommend. The first thing I would say is kind of the obvious one, but prioritize your mental health. Mental health mindset is
Mm-hmm.
everything, but mental health is too. And then I'm going to say something else that is everything also. Learn to say no. Don't take on more than you can. Take care of yourself daily. So make time for self care every day. And it's a great way to help prevent burnout. I'd also
Mm-hmm.
say break down your goals into small action steps, like literally sit like I know sometimes we just want to we know what we want to achieve and pursue in our head, but actually sit down and write it down or put it in your tablet, your laptop. Like really take the time to map out what you want to do and the steps that it will take to get there. Because if you focus on achieving your goals step by step, so just focusing on the next step you need to take rather than looking at the finish line, That will help you to reduce overwhelm, which can, of course,
Mm-hmm.
lead to heightened anxiety. It can increase, feelings of depression just because you're focusing on what you haven't done, where you want to be,
Mm-hmm.
instead of what can I do right now, where I am with what I have. And then, of course, I know these sound really practical, but that's what I love about it. You can just be mindful of what you eat, try to get quality rest, each night. Go at your own pace and remember that it's your race, it's your journey. It doesn't matter how big or small your goal looks to anybody else. It's your race. It's your journey. So embrace that, own it, and take care of yourself. Prioritize your mental health just like you would your physical.
Mm, I agree. I agree. Those very, very good tips. I think that something that comes to mind is like start where you are is another thing, like really honoring that where you are right now. And then also when you were talking about like self-care and really prioritizing your needs, another thing that I was thinking of is putting yourself first. Goals come second, or goals come third. You are your priority.
Exactly. I love that. And it's so true
Mm-hmm.
because it's almost like pouring out of an empty cup. When you're pouring, you're investing your time, your energy, you're investing of yourself when you pursue your goals, when you go to work. So it's important to be refilled because your work,
Mm-hmm.
your family, your goals, your dreams, they all deserve the best of you. And if you are burnt out, if you're overwhelmed, they're not getting the best of you. So a great way to prevent that is to prioritize your mental health and prioritize self-care daily.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about self-doubt and procrastination. So, when those start to come up, what can we do to not make them just stop us in our tracks and make us want to quit or give up?
I would say the first thing I would say is you have to get in the habit of encouraging yourself. I know it sounds really
Mm-hmm.
basic, but you've got to you've got to do it, and you have to do it consistently. Sometimes that looks like giving yourself a pep talk, literally standing in the mirror and giving yourself a pep talk. Hype your own self up, as I like to say. And as I mentioned before, also just making a list of past achievements and just
Mm-hmm.
taking the time to build yourself up. And that's why I like writing out my affirmations every day, because some of them are just encouraging. And it reminds me of the person that I want to be, because some days I might not feel like my best self, but I know that I'm striving to be. So I'm going to have a positive affirmation that I write and I speak every day to just build myself up, to build myself up. And what I love about that is you will start to catch yourself. Like if you start to think something not so nice about yourself, you'll
Mm-hmm.
catch it and then you can correct it. You can be like, wait a minute. I just thought this about myself. No, I am like one of my favorite scripture verses, like I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Like I am beautiful. If I'm not feeling so great about myself that day, like just simple things, doing it
Mm.
daily or as consistently as you can, that's a great way to do that, because that helps with, self-doubt. And I'd say for procrastination, think about your why. Think about why you want to
Mm.
do it. And then be patient with yourself. I think we all can experience times where we're not feeling as motivated, where there's just other things
Mm-hmm.
that are taking priority, that are taking our focus and energy in our life. and just honoring that, like that's a part of life, that's a part of the journey, and it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Even this morning, I don't know why, but I just thought, I haven't read aloud my affirmations in the mirror in maybe 2 months. I want to just start again. And like instantly, I just felt that renewed sense of just contentment and happiness and joy. It really does like shift your mood the more that you say them, and like as you're saying them, like, allow the feeling like settle in. Because I think at first I was just reading them quickly, like, oh, I gotta get these done. But I think if you really like read the statement and, ooh, how does this feel in my heart space? How is this making me feel? Like allow that emotion to like be brought up. It makes that much of a difference when you do that.
Yes.
So I would love to talk about imposter syndrome and how can we stop feeling like a fraud or an imposter?
The number one thing I would recommend is to take time to identify like those feelings and emotions, and then think about where it's coming from. I think that's like the best way, like before you try to do anything about it, really understanding where it stems from is a great way to make sure that you are able to move forward or away from it effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I would recommend is social media. Most of us have social media. Most of us use Facebook, and if not just Facebook, we've got Instagram, TikTok, and all these other platforms. And I would say be mindful of like how you feel when you see certain posts. If you see something that makes you feel less than, or you find yourself comparing yourself, what I'm about to recommend is it's not to validate like any jealousy or anything like that, but it's actually an opportunity to build your confidence, I would say, and even to reprogram your mindset, so to speak. And so basically, that's just, I know on Facebook you can mute, I believe, for like 30 days or something like that, like seeing posts from a certain person. I've done it for this very reason, because I caught myself like, man, I'm feeling inadequate. I'm comparing myself. I just find myself not feeling so great. Let me take a break from this for now.
Mm-hmm.
You can unfriend if you need to, or, you don't have to actually unfriend. You can actually unfollow, so that you're not seeing that person's post or that page for a while. And while you're on that
Mm-hmm.
social media break, or I like to call it a detox, you're still hopping on social media, you're still scrolling through, but now you're just seeing the posts that don't make you feel a certain way, other than happy or positive or maybe encouraged or inspired. And by consistently seeing that type of content, you're building yourself up. And then you, like specifically for Facebook, that 30 days might end, and then you see the post from somebody that you paused or you muted for a little bit, and then you're like, this isn't bothering me like it did before. So just do what
Mm.
you gotta do to take a step back and to heal and to build your confidence. And we're human. Like, I honestly believe we all at some point feel like a fraud in some area or aspect of our lives. So just take the time that you need to heal. Take the time to see what the root issue is, what the root cause is, and heal from that. And sometimes that means stepping away completely from whatever it is making you feel like a fraud, like you're not good enough or
Mm-hmm.
you're not qualified or worthy, and just take in as much content as you can that's telling you you are worthy, you can do this, you are capable.
Yes. I didn't even know there was a mute button.
Yeah, there's something where there's like the option where you can mute this person for, I remember it being 30 days. And I've unfollowed a few,
Wow.
like just and temporarily. And then some I just forgot. So I don't remember what page it was anymore. But yeah, it's just a way you can control, who what you're
Hmm.
seeing. And as many times as we scroll through, I know I pick up my phone so many times throughout the day and just scrolling. So yeah, it's a good idea to be mindful about, what you're allowing yourself to see and to feed on.
Yeah, it's so important to recognize that it does have an effect. And like I feel like once you're aware of it, oh, maybe this is why I'm coming off of this app and I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
so low about myself. You mentioned something about like finding the root. How would you go and do that? Find the root of it.
So I wrote a blog post about it. And the reason I mentioned the blog post is because there's actually a list of questions that I find really helpful to
Ooh.
ask yourself. So just sitting in a quiet place and just going through and using the questions as like journal entries, where you can do your own Google search
Mm-hmm.
and, find some articles with questions and things that will help you really work through and get to the root of the issue. And sometimes it's just as simple as just sitting down and taking the time to think about it, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can just brush it off. I know I've done it a few times in my life unintentionally. And then later on, it's like, man, I really don't understand why this bothers me. And then, of course, therapy. So there are some things that I can't work through and heal from on my own. I need the support and guidance of a professional. So even getting counseling, not only get to the root of the issue, but to also begin to heal and move forward from it in a healthy way.
Yeah. Another thing that I thought of is like once you find the root, where do you go from there?
So once you have healed, because I think I think a lot of the root issues, it's coming from somewhere, and sometimes it's not
Hmm.
coming from a positive place, right? Because it's not a very fun and friendly emotion to experience, feeling inadequate, less than, not good enough, or just whatever it is for you. Once you've healed from that, you should be able to, like, it changes your perspective. Like certain posts that used to intimidate me or make me feel like, I'm not ready yet. I'm just, yeah, I can't pursue this goal. Once I healed, my perception of that changed. So it didn't affect me the way that it used to. So you just
Hmm.
naturally find yourself, I believe, able to move on.
Thank you for sharing. That's amazing. So, where can listeners connect with you, Kezia?
Yeah, so you can of course connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at it's at Set Goals and Slay, and then also my personal development blog at www.kezia, that's Kezia Marie.co. So that's my personal development blog, and that's you can definitely keep up with what I got going on over there.
Well, I can't wait to read your posts. That's an incredible thing to have. And I'll definitely leave all of your links in the description so that my listeners can just go to them and find you really easily. And I have a signature question that I ask all my guests, and it is, what does it mean to blissfully bloom?
Blissfully bloom. And I gotta say, I love that as the title of your podcast and everything. Think about that. That actually reminds me of my favorite flower being a sunflower. So I'll just share this. So last year I got a tattoo, and it's a sunflower sprouting up or blossoming up out of a book. and it has the word inspire underneath. And what that represents for
Oh.
me, the sunflower represents, well, let me start with the book. The book represents like my story. It's got some pain, some heartbreak, but it's also got some breakthrough, some perseverance. It's got, some happy endings to it. The sunflower
Mm-hmm.
is coming up out of that book. It's coming up out of my story, and it just represents the positive vibes, the love, the light, just all the good things that have come out of me persevering and also sharing my story and being able to help and inspire somebody else. And I really believe that we all have that. We all have a story and we all have the ability to inspire other people. And I think that is
Mm-hmm.
a great, I think that's a way to blissfully bloom. There you
Blissfully.
go. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. But that's what how we all have it in us to blissfully bloom.
Oh, yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that and that personal connection that you made between the phrase. I love that. And thank you so much for coming on the show today. I had such a great time talking about self-confidence and goal setting and all of the above. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad for I had this opportunity. Thank you for having me.